for October 7, 2024 to order. First order of business, you will notice that I am running this meeting tonight. Chairman Thompson is out in the western part of the state, helping with all the storm relief, and we wish him all the best and that he stays safe. He's doing some real work out there today. Has been since the storm. So I want to say thank you to him. I have asked Commissioner Williams to please lead us in the invocation and the pledge. So gentlemen, if you're wearing hats or lids, please remove them.
Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to come together. We thank you for every person in this room and for the privilege of serving in this great county. I do want to lift up those who were affected by potential tropical cyclone 8 in Brunswick County who are still recovering. There are many people here who are still feeling the effects of that. And even though there have been other storms since then, we want to make sure that they are not forgotten. I do lift up everyone who was affected by Helene in Western North Carolina, and also our chairman and those first responders from Brunswick County and everywhere else who have gone out there, that you would keep them safe and help them be a blessing to those people in their time of need. And Lord, also we lift up the people in Florida who are facing another storm that has, as of a few minutes ago, is a Category 5, and we pray that you protect them and keep them safe. And just, Lord, guide us in our business today and keep everyone here safe as they travel home. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. But before we move on, I need to apologize myself. If I come off pretty loud today, I just got off an airplane a couple of hours ago and my ears have not popped yet. I'm having a little hard time hearing myself, so I apologize in advance. All right. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
No one has any. I'll move to approve.
Second. Williams, Cook, all those in favor? Aye. All right, we will move on to public comments. As you all know, you have 30 minutes to come up and voice your concerns of things that are going on in the county. You all know the rules. You have 3 minutes apiece to come up and talk about any subject that you like. I will give notice that I will not put up with any personal attacks on anybody here or our staff. If you do that, I will gavel you down, and if you continue to do it, I will have the deputy remove you. Let's keep it civil. So with that, I will call. I only have a couple of names on this list today. First up, Tom Simmons. Yes, please make sure you give your name and address when you come up.
Tom Simmons, 1462 Longleaf Road, Bowling Spring Lakes. I've got a concern I want to bring up today that I don't think anybody's brought up yet, although I think it's related to some of our flooding. As I travel about the county and I notice our ditches, they're either overgrown or caved in. They're not functioning the way they're supposed to function. And I just believe that it has something to do with this extensive flooding that we've had. I don't know whose responsibility these ditches are, whether it's DOT or the counties, but apparently somebody's not doing their job, folks. If it is DOT, I would urge you to contact whoever's in charge of that division, tell them that we need some help getting these ditches cleaned. And if it's the county's responsibility, if you don't have enough manpower, I'm retired, I hope you go dig the ditches out. But let's get these ditches clean so we can move this water. Thank you.
All right, next up, we have TJ Oliver.
TJ Oliver, TJ Oliver, 2212 Harper Ridge Drive, Bolivia. And excuse my appearance, I left work early to attend the meeting today.
This is not formal.
I wanted to touch on something that was brought up at the last meeting. I didn't write anything down and I'm not really good at public speaking, so forgive me if I sort of stumble over myself while I'm trying to talk to you. It's in regards to our stormwater systems. I'm really glad that you guys are finally taking a look at our infrastructure, see if it can keep up with the development that's occurring. One thing that wasn't mentioned that I heard was the stormwater systems. I've been certified by NC State for 10 years now to inspect stormwater systems. And these systems in the county, especially the old ones, but some of the newer ones, they are not being maintained. They are supposed to be dredged out every few years. The more you get big storms, the more often that happens. As you know, it's like a bathtub. When all your sediment comes in, the less water that pond can hold. So when you get a big rain event, it's going to hold less water. It's going to overflow its banks. It's going to go into those ditches that Mr. Simmons just brought up here and add to the problem. So I don't know why they're not being inspected and enforced to be maintained, but I know the county has a stormwater manual, and in that manual, it says that the county has the authority, if they see that these stormwater systems are not being maintained, the county has the authority to go in, fix them, and charge the owner whatever the cost of the repairs were. So I would urge you to take into consideration, along with water and sewer and police and rescue, also our stormwater systems, because we're going to continue to get these storms like we've seen. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are the only two names that I have on the list. Was there somebody that wanted to add something since we have a little time? If not, we will move on. Thank you. All right, looking for approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Marty, second.
I'll second.
Frank. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're moving on quickly here today. Presentation, social services. Kathy, come on up. Marty?
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Is he supposed to make this presentation?
I don't think there's. I was gonna make the presentation and if you'd like to join us for a photo, that would be
More
great.
better.
If that works for you.
More
You look better than I do.
Yeah,
I would.
I didn't want to say it out loud.
This will be short and sweet. Annually, Department of Health and Human Services Child Support recognizes all the counties that have met all of their measures. Some of those all of those measures are on the state county MOU, which we are held, that Brunswick County is held accountable for. Brunswick County received recognition, certificate of excellence for meeting not one, but all of our measures. As in addition, this is the third year in a row that we have met this. And we were one of 3 counties in the state to meet all of our measures last fiscal year. So with that, I have the certificate that the state awarded them. And if you would join us for
They're gonna come up on. Y'all come on
They
up.
can tell us how to do this thing.
Come on, team.
and I also have our new DSS director with me.
Oh, you do? All right. Great.
Megan, with this many people, should we be down there or up here? Where do you want to?
Oh, the commissioner meeting,
Yeah, I think she was waving us down. so.
let's get everybody, we might be able to have you kind of.
In the back.
Back, like.
Yeah,
Stage it over.
One of the ones-
Go around and kind of
As long as somebody's not in the,
And
too
we'll
tall
do
in the front of me, not
couple of
to
rows.
the- She needs to be in front of me, in front of me. Yes.
You can come up here.
Only way
You can come
you
up
can see me. No. Congratulations. Thank you all.
here. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Children are so important. Oh, I'm not looking at it all, y'all see.
All right.
Can you be seen?
I don't think so. But these
I
times.
have some of you all come a little bit up this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think I need to.
You get wherever you want to get.
I'm
Okay,
a-
get whatever you want to get.
I'm a, I don't.
We're still rearranging.
Can you
stuff here.
see, all 4 of us?
Chair, Vice Chairman, could you move a little to your right?
They're down there. They're still taller than us.
I think I'm good now. I'm good now. Are you good, Frank?
So, Thank you,
for
guys.
doing a great job.
Congratulations.
You want to introduce yourself? Our new EFS director, he started the day of the.
Oh,
Good timing.
Baptism by fire.
For real.
So
Welcome.
you came back. The child support team works tirelessly to make
Yeah.
sure that, not only meeting our measures, but that they're serving their clients. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. All right. Next, we have an administrative report for utilities. Brent Lockmeat will be making this presentation.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Hey.
Thanks, sir. Thank you for letting me here. Today, we're here to request that the Board of Commissioners approve change order number 1 for work associated with the 3/4 million gallon a day Mulberry Branch Water Reclamation Facility project that increases the time of completion by the project by 14 days and the amount of the contract by $647,275.08. In October of 23, the Board of Commissioners approved a contract with Harper Construction to build the Mulberry plant. Since then, we've gotten under construction and we're moving on and making good progress. However, there's some items that have come up that require us to ask for this change order. The first item that is on the change order is we had to move the headworks of the plant away from a existing lagoon on the site. As the contractor was laying out the location of the headworks, we noticed that there was seepage through the dam of the lagoon. Our engineer and staff met on site and we determined it was prudent to move the location of the headworks further away from the lagoon. That change will cost that change will cost $250,045.08. The next item is the change in stone that was specified for the groundwater lowering unit. The groundwater lowering unit is exactly as it sounds. It lowers the groundwater in the area around the high rate infiltration basins. When we started construction on that system, the engineer and hydrologist noticed that field conditions warranted a change in the type of rock to allow more water to get away from the high rate infiltration basins quicker. And they determined that this change in stone to a round type of stone would do that. The cost of that change is $287,992.75. The third item has to do with unsuitable soils and having to remove and replace those soils. During the construction activities, the contractor noted a couple of areas that had unsuitable soils. We called out our geotechnical engineer and they came out and provided a report detailing the amount of soils that needed to be removed and the method for replacement of those soils. The change order for that will cost $326,690. The final item on the change order, we actually were able to save some money. The staff, the engineer, and the contractor came together before we started construction to look for ideas how to save money on the project. We sat down, went through the design, and came up with some items that we could either substitute or remove completely from the project. And at the end of that meeting, we were able to save $218,452.75. And so we request that you guys approve this change order. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Brent?
The only thing I've got is that, when I got in office, initially there were change orders and I didn't understand it. And there were unforeseen situations, like when you initiated construction, you decide you would find that you needed pillars or you needed something that wasn't part of the scope because it didn't seem to be the case. But if the property, like if you had a 4 million gallon well and it settled, it'd be catastrophic. So you had to put in certain things, just like what you stated.
Mhm.
It's better to have the foundation right, and as you discover there's something else has to be done to make it right, it's gonna last a lifetime. So the point being is if you do it wrong, cut corners, then you're really gonna be hurting down the road in a short period of time. So it's something, it's been a necessary evil I've learned.
Yes, sir. Happens very frequently in construction. Lot
Well,
of
we have
unknowns.
sandy soil too. We're not building on rock. We're not building on something, so you're having to deal with all those
Yes, sir.
as well. So,
You don't know what you don't know until you get it. open.
yeah,
So,
we ran that several times.
I don't have any questions, just one comment, first, the dollar amount jumped out at me as being large until I looked at the size of the project and it's less than 1.5% of the whole project. So
yes, sir.
that is a big project.
And I will say that typically on a project this size, we would have roughly a $2 million contingency allowance. This project, we did not have that because of the funding and everything. So, but we're still, like you said, well under a 1% or right around 1% of the,
1.39
Yeah.
by my math. I'll move approval if no one else has questions.
Second,
Okay.
Pat,
thank y'all very much.
all those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Now, thank y'all very much.
You gotta wait for the vote. Thanks, Brent. All right, next. Okay, Operation Services. Gonna come up and talk to us about mosquito control and our vector people. Jeff and Abram are here to make a presentation.
How you doing today?
Good.
How you doing?
We're here to request that the Board of Commissioners issue a notice to proceed with the Vector Disease Control Institute for aerial spray of approximately 443,000 acres of the populated area of Brunswick County. Typically, over the past 3 years, our average call log between August and October runs about 400 a month, or 400 for the 2 months. And this past 2 months, we've had 1,500 complaints. Not to mention every person you see when you pull up in a county truck is mosquitoes.
Yep.
So we think it's our maximum cost is $920,000 if we treat the whole 443,000 acres. We're anticipating on approximately 700,000 with what the guidelines we have selected out in the areas, we have to get with VDCI and they'll actually set polygons and tell us what we can cut out, and what we can't. Some things are just impossible to cut out regardless of the population due to the maps and the way they fly.
I think this comes as no surprise that we have to do this. I mean, granted, it's almost $1 million, but PTS number 8, that was a lot of standing water, hence a lot of mosquitoes, mind you. I owned a pest control company for 20 years. I'm well aware. They're terrible.
When was the last time we did this? It was the last big storm, or big storm. What was it?
2020?
Yeah.
No, we didn't.
Wasn't that?
that was fun.
Did it in Florence, but we also did it after Isaias, but not the whole county at that time.
The thing that I think is very interesting, I'm not entirely sure, you can correct me. I think we either have 43 or 45 different types of biting mosquitoes. Is that accurate?
I'm not the man to ask.
Well, anyway,
I mean, I'm not this.
well,
Abrams,
Jeff Brown was with us, and in 2011, he won an award. And the EPA actually adopted what he had done because you had to map out every single type of mosquito as well as how you're going to remediate every different type of species. And he's the man who came up with the idea back in 2011, how to do it, and EPA adopted it. And I think that is a real feather in the cap for you guys in that part.
we lost a lot of, Jeff retired last year and we lost
I
a
know
lot
that.
of knowledge.
Yes,
I know.
Abram has fortunately stepped up and is following.
Yeah, well, I've got to tell you, that's, he casts a long shadow, but I know that you guys work well with him. But I want to thank you for all you're doing because it's a public safety thing. And not only that, a lot of us are having to deal with mosquitoes right now. So thank you.
All right, thanks, sir.
wait a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
Does this include bald head?
No, ma'am.
Now, how are they being affected right now?
I'm sure they are terrible, but if I'm Yeah, we will include them. I'm sorry.
Okay,
They've
I was
been
going to
added back
say,
to the list.
we got to regroup if it
They have
doesn't.
been added back.
Okay, do we have any kind of date when this will be
If
taking
things
place?
are approved today, we'll have to have a letter from Mr. Stone approving VDCI to proceed, and we could possibly start as early as Friday. We would have to start with Friday to the barrier islands and maybe like the Green Swamp area where don't have schools.
Right,
We have to give them a 72-hour notice, and they have football games on Friday night.
Right.
And so possibly by the weekend.
okay, because I know the public has to be notified.
Yeah. We need
Uh.
72 for the schools and 48 for the beekeepers and
And I know that it works because it worked through the other processes that we've been through and it was a blessing, but they are bad. The mosquitoes are bigger than normal. Is any of them those tiger mosquitoes? And
I am not sure about that.
Well, they're-
Sorry.
Abrams, my scientist.
they look like
They're
they're
biting.
bigger than normal and they're just,
Tigers and zip ties, that is.
So currently, yes, you'll be experiencing tiger mosquitoes, but to go back to what you're saying, we have 47 different species.
47.
And so right now, there's probably a half a dozen nuisance mosquitoes along with our vector mosquitoes that we're most concerned about at this current moment.
okay. Well, I appreciate y'all bringing this forward. I make a motion, we accept it.
And
They might have some more.
I'll
questions.
second it. I was just gonna say, however many kinds there are, they all tried to get in my dad's truck on the farm the other day. And they were so big, I thought they were gonna pick the truck up. I mean, I have never in my life seen that many mosquitoes back in those woods, so I will gladly second.
So,
Thanks for all you guys do. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Sykes, you had, wait, don't go away. You had another comment?
no, I'm good.
Oh.
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Guys, I know the answer because I did pest control, but for those that don't, I'm sure we're gonna get phone calls. Don't kill the dragonflies. Can you please explain to people that this is pretty much strictly mosquitoes? It will not kill.
We'll start spraying about dusk till
Mhm.
approximately midnight. So hopefully all our bees and our dragonflies are everything up. So
They
it'll
go
be
in.
very limited to any other species than mosquitoes.
No. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, sir.
So we have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor?
Ah,
Aye. Okay. Moving on to board appointments. We have a zoning board of adjustment alternate position.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to move that we appoint Mr. Greg Tharrington. I do not know him personally, but he has actually served on one of these boards before in another county, and I called the commissioners there and asked about him, and they said he did an excellent job and was very knowledgeable. I spoke with him today, first time I've spoken with him, and he is very excited about serving, so I'll move that we appoint Greg Tharrington.
Any second?
I second.
You got that, Darrell? Any questions, any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all right. And moving on, board appointment for the Community Advisory Committee. We have a request for a Dr. Charles Goulis to the Community Advisory Committee. Do I hear a motion?
So move. I'll second.
What do you think? Any comments?
I appreciate the service because that position is a lot of work and a lot of
Hard
time
one to fill.
is put into that.
All those in favor?
I,
Aye. Done.
Can we, just for the benefit of the people here, because that name doesn't really tell what that board does. David, would you be willing to tell people just a clip notes of what that board is? Because I think it's important for people to know. It's an important one.
Sure, I'd be glad to. And also Commissioner Sykes, feel free to jump in because I believe you used to participate on that board some time back. And really, it's an opportunity for these group of individuals that are pointing to go to the different nursing homes and skilled facilities and be able to review concerns and complaints from different individuals that they get about the operations in those facilities. That's pretty much in a nutshell. Now, they're not the be all end all regulatory arm that's in there. The food service is also reviewed by the county health department staff that goes in there, and also our DSS staff goes in there and reviews complaints and other issues as well. So this is more of the ombudsman piece of where anybody can ask any question about a facility and try to have it answered by this group. And Commissioner Sykes, I don't know if there's other
No,
thing that you would like to
no,
add.
you done good. Appreciate it.
Right,
Thank
yes, ma'am.
Is there any new business, other business?
Yes, I have something. I'm kind of concerned. I guess we need an update. I know that a lot of our employees are working in the western part of the state. Are they being covered, so that they get paid for working, these long hours in the western state? Are they all getting the forms completed that needs to be completed according to our I know the storm's not here in our county, but they're working in other counties. Are they being paid accordingly?
They're being paid for actual hours worked based upon our policy and the Fair Labor Standards Act.
Okay, are we gonna get reimbursed any money for?
They all should have missions in quotes, that come through emergency management, and we should get reimbursed either by the other localities or by the state.
So they all know to get the forms completed, right?
They're told that before they go.
Okay, thank you.
I have just a couple of things. One, I would like to see us on our board application add a section for each board the person selects to say why they want to serve on that board. Because right now they pick the board, but we don't know why they want to pick that board. And I think that would be helpful to have on every board application. And I noticed that as I was going through them before this meeting.
We can certainly amend the form to reflect that.
And second thing, I think you said maybe the next meeting, we'll start talking about our after action report for PTC 8. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And a couple of things I'd like for us to go ahead and put on the radar of how we think about that. I'd like for us to, rather than the report get written and then brought to us, is for a couple of commissioners to be involved in that process. I would say 2, and I'm not suggesting names at this point, but I think it'd be good, especially for the commissioners who live in the areas that were most affected, to have input in that up front. And I also think we need, given how this one uniquely affected a lot of our employee base, to make sure we get feedback from the employees on how it affected them as well. And I'm not suggesting a specific way to do that. We just need to make sure we do that, to have their voices heard in that. And the third thing, Commissioner Forte and I are on the Rural Planning Organization, which is one of the 3 transportation planning groups. And we are actually voting later this week on rural transportation legislative goals. And it will be the first ever legislative goals that board has adopted. And I wanted to point that out because one of them is requesting the state to provide adequate funding to maintain drainage for ditches that are owned and controlled by NCDOT, to Mr. Simmons' point earlier. Because most of those, if they're in the DOT right of way, that is DOT responsibility. But they just don't get them cleaned out as much as they should. So that's one thing. And the second one is to specifically request changes to the transportation prioritization law to include evacuation routes as a scoring component, which we've requested that before. It's been hard to get people in the other part of the state who are in the legislature to vote on that. Obviously, there's not going to be a designated evacuation route from the mountains, or at least there hasn't been, but it's something that needs to at least be continually brought up. So we're bringing that up again as well. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I echo what Commissioner Williams stated. I have met with several individuals about their ditches, and it's been in North Carolina Department of Transportation, so they're right away. And they've done a lot of things. They have cleared out ditches, they have moved culverts, they've done a lot of things. Typically, the way you get the ball rolling is either call Division 3 NCDOT, or you call the local Shalot office, and they in turn can follow it up from there. And I've met in person with them, and they're very receptive. In fact, when we had potential tropical storm 8, they actually were on a site trying just to clean out a ditch for a routine matter the next day, if you can believe that. They were out there doing that sort of thing. So they really go above and beyond. And I have to tell you that, Mr. Chairman, I have been in conference calls just about every single day, sometimes several of them a day. I've interacted with people in the West almost on a daily basis. And I have to tell you, regardless of the party, regardless of who's in power, people involved in emergency management in the state of North Carolina and all the different peripheral aspects, be it the nonprofits, the National Guard, everybody involved with it, they are doing an incredible job. North Carolina's basically gone to war over this thing. There's 25 counties that have been affected. And they got communications up almost immediately throughout the entire area. And not only that, the 911 never went down. They did divert, but they didn't go down. So they had that. They brought in Starlink for every single location that was there. So this was a very comprehensive approach. And, you know, I have to also say this, I've been in several of the drills locally, as far as like the National, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission drills and things like that. Our emergency management team does an incredible job. I mean, they do an incredible job. They don't get the credit, but if you're in the EOC, which I know some of us have been, you'll see how hard they work and how dedicated they are and their professionalism and everything they get done. And I have to tell you, I was there one time when we had 2 tornadoes coming through Bowling Spring Lakes, heading toward the EOC. They just basically blinked. It was coming right toward them and they kept on working. And so that's the kind of people we have. I appreciate them. My hat's off to them. And anyway, just thankful that they're in the positions they're in. That's all I have.
Commissioner Sykes?
Okay, one more thing, Steve, if you could, when you bring back, on October 21st, you're supposed to bring back these issues that Chairman Thompson listed at the last meeting. Would you also include that about the stormwater systems, the ponds that TJ Oliver was speaking about? Because I sort of agree with her, they do fill up. And as far as dirt and stuff, more dirt gets in there, they're not as deep as they were at the beginning. So come back with letting us know about the policy of that.
We will, and already in planning that report, potential changes to our stormwater ordinance are going to be part of my recommendations.
And I was actually going to suggest that exact same thing. And, you know, I in the H2Go area, every year I have to get my irrigation system inspected for backflow. And I think if, you know, we need to do the same thing for these drainage systems. I'm assuming it will be the HOAs that are responsible for maintaining them inside their neighborhoods. Is that correct? Typically.
Generally so, but any
We would have
stormwater
to-
systems that have been permitted by the county since 2002, annual inspections are part of their permit requirements.
I guess the question is, if, let's say hypothetically, we inspect the drainage system in neighborhood X, and we find out that it needs to be cleaned out, is it the HOA's responsibility to clean it out, or then we charge them if they don't, or how does that work?
It is the HOA's responsibility to do it, and generally, I think the county has had good compliance with that.
It'd be good to get a list of, you know, how many of those, how they all stack up in that. I'd be curious to know that. And then another thing I wanted to point out, since we're in the other business, I was glad to see the wait time for veterans drop down again to get an appointment. That was good to see that.
We are glad to.
I guess without even speaking to one another, we're all on the same page today. I actually had written down before we even went into public comments that under new business, I wanted to bring up stormwater management, cleaning of the ditches, the tributary, all the different tributaries, the rivers, the streams, all of them. See if we could mitigate some of these flooding issues. So apparently we're all on the same page with this item. So I'd like to look into it, and I actually spoke to 2 mayors from 2 of the municipalities and asked them what they're doing to get their stormwater management under control. Hopefully we all learned a lesson from PTC number 8, and we keep everything as clean as we can and as open as we can.
Mr.
Are there any?
One other thing, I had to go to a place where an individual, it wasn't really a farm as such, but he had some land that he could have as a farm. And there wasn't even a drop storm. There wasn't anything. He said, I'm getting flooded. I have no idea why I'm getting flooded. He said, there's no tropical storm, there's no hurricane, there's no anything. I'm getting flooded. And so we went back, we found out it was beavers. And I'd like to see us step that up. About 15 years ago, we had a very aggressive beaver remediation program. For whatever reason, there was a period of time, some of the funding was dropped by the state. And I think we had to pick up the ball, but I don't know the tenure. I think Mr. Stone would probably know better than anyone, but that was even mapped out. Everything was mapped out. They knew exactly where they needed to attack it and continually go after it. Leland also had a perspective of what they did. So my thinking is, I don't know where we are in that, but I know this is something that people don't really understand is there, but that is another issue because we have a lot of acreage that's undeveloped. And that being, it's forestry, it's paper mills, whatever. The point being is it still gets filled up with these beavers. And then it's like that individual who I went to his house and saw it. It's flooded and there was no storm that was associated with it, but it was because of the beavers that we found out. So can we look into that in greater detail?
Yes, sir. We are participating in the state's program and also have a local program.
Good.
That's one of the reasons that I say not all flooding is because of man-made causes. There really are a lot of natural causes. The water that flooded this complex on September 16th did not come from a developed area. It came from an undeveloped area.
Yeah. Well, that's true in the mountains as well.
And if there are no other comment, Mr. Manager, would you like to add anything to the conversation before we adjourn this?
No, sir, I have nothing to say.
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
There you go. We are adjourned.